See the moonlights on the town. Whoa, I'm getting ready. Tallawah TV is in the town. Whoa, I'm getting ready. Got a corner on the telephone. Yeah, this is the Ocean of the Messenger, and you're watching Tallawah TV with the host and best. So Davis, take it away.
First of all, thank you so much for giving me a moment of your time. It's an absolute blessing being able to speak to you for the first time in all these years.
For sure, man, for sure. I'm glad you. I see you always been putting in the work. Always try to support you, and I can. So for sure, I'm glad you finally get me on the show, and you're gonna rock and roll for sure.
Thank you, thank you. How did you find that game? Because for me, just to remind the viewers, that was our second World Cup qualifier against Panama, and we got stuffed basically. Full time score is 3-0 to Panama at the office. I think that's a result that not many predicted going into the game.
I don't think you could find anyone that predicted that kind of scoreline again at home at that with the players that the kind of hype that we had around the squad with the players that we got in the squad is kind of a scoreline that no one saw coming. I'm more disappointed by the performance, but we'll definitely get into that once we get rolling.
Where do you think the game was lost overall from first half to the second half?
It started out bad if you look at it. We started on the pressure the first 15 minutes. We couldn't kept the hold of the ball. It was just like a continuation from the Mexico game. It just rolled over into this game. No matter we had different players on the field, but it was like the same tactics. Lump it up the field to Antonio and see what's going to happen. It just wasn't working. And I was trying. That's what I said. The performance is what really got me because I was hoping that we'll see something different. And this is something. It's not a one-off. That's the thing. It's not a one-off. We saw it against the USA in the Gold Cup. When we play against better teams, this is just what happens. I don't know what it is. We see it against the USA in the Gold Cup. We see it against Costa Rica in the third game in the Gold Cup when we lost. We did the same exact thing. We played the first two games in the Gold Cup. We went out. We played fluent football. We looked good. We scored goals. And we go into the third game against opposition with a little bit of stature, and then we just crawled into our shell. Gave that game away. Went to the next game, played the USA, and did the same thing. And then you was like, okay, it's the Gold Cup, maybe, World Cup qualifying, go again, behind the team. And then you come the Mexico game, it's the same thing. And then this game, nothing has changed. They just look the same. It's kind of frustrating at this point.
Yeah, it's interesting that you picked up on the first 15 minutes, the first quarter of the game, because oddly enough, when you look back at our game against Mexico and in our games in the Gold Cup, our best moments have come in the first quarter of the game. So that clearly illustrates that Panama done their homework on us and basically unsettled us from the first whistle.
Yeah, for sure. You can see they came with a game plan, and I think they really targeted our midfield. I think they did because they just held the ball. They played better. They looked like the team that was at home. They were comfortable in position. Even players that we were counting on. When I saw, Ravel Morrison in there, that's a player that we expect to get a hold of the ball and dictate the game. He couldn't touch the ball. I doubt he had 5, 6 touches the whole first half. He just couldn't get on the ball. Johnson was trying his best, but at the same time, he's giving the ball away a lot too, committing a lot of fouls. We just couldn't get a hold of the ball in midfield, and then we just start, revert back to what we know best: defense to offense. The Stoke city bread of football that we seem to play, and we're not very good at that either. So it was frustrating. The midfield, we got to get that midfield right. It seems no matter who we put in there, we put 3 technically gifted players in there that you think will be able to hold the ball, and we still came up short in there. So it's just kind of, the missing piece. There's a missing piece in there. So I never thought that I would miss Hector as a defensive midfielder in this team. And today, you see the kind of job that he does cleaning up, behind those technical players. We just didn't have that today. So I think that's where the game was won or lost in midfield. And right throughout the game, they were just better than us all over the field.
Do you think it was the right call by the coach to disrupt the back line? Because Panama, when you look back at that game, they were running rings around us, but it was also very easy for them to get behind our back line. So do you think it was the right call to disrupt that partnership between Damian Lowe and Liam Moore? Of course, Damian might have missed today's game due to injury, or it could be due to fitness level, but do you think that it was the right call to disrupt that back line if Damian wasn't injured?
For me, I heard her say that Damien is injured anyway, and he wouldn't play today. I don't think that the central defensive partnership was the problem. The problem was the right side of our field was just open. We were getting no help. The right back, no help at all game. He didn't look over his shoulder a couple times. You can see, even in the first half, they should have scored a second goal before they did score the second one, where they had two players at the back post with free headers, and he headed it straight into Blake's arm. Like, Burt just wasn't coming back at all to help him. And when I saw the setup of the team, that was my first reaction. Like, why is he playing on the right wing? Like, that's just not his game. We're trying to fit, players in the team just for fit's sake. If you wanted to play him with Antonio, we should have played with a 4-4-2. Play with two players on the wing. You could see once we change it up in the second half, we look a little bit better. But it's just not his game to come back and help out on defense. And the right back had no help. On right side of our field, along with the midfield, is where we lost the game. And like I said, we should have conceded a second goal before we conceded that one. You could see it. You could see it coming. They were just picking their passes. Everything was going to the right-hand side of our field because they were just doubling up on the right back the whole game. And, we didn't make any adjustment to it. That's the thing, too. You want a coach to be able to make adjustment in game. You could see where the problem was. You could see, where they were attacking it. You want to make adjustment. We were 1-0 down. You tell your right wing, sit back a little bit, help out the defense. Let's just slow the game down. Let's get into halftime, 1 down. But we didn't. We wasn't threatening their goal, but we were open. And that's what I don't get. If we want to be a defensive team, you have to be good defensively or play the long ball and be effective at it. But we wasn't effective in nothing that we tried today. 3-0 at home, that's bad. That's bad.
Absolutely. The right-hand side of our defense is a major concern. Do you you will have to bring Alva Powell back into that game just because of the UK-based players returning to the UK. So you will have to bring Alvis Powell back into the right back position. But what do you do about the right back situation? Because obviously that is a major concern. It seems to be that one area that we're pretty much leaky in defense and also in midfield as well. We're screaming out for a defensive midfielder and a creative midfielder as well.
But you could see in the second half when Speedy came on in the midfield, we looked better. There was a player in there with fight that's going to put in a tackle, and that's what we needed. Also, what guy named that didn't play? He played in the Mexico game, but he had to go. Anthony, I think his name is. That played in the Mexico game, and he didn't.
Anthony Grant
had his baby. Grant, yeah. He was a good player. He played well against Mexico. I would love to see him in there with Ravel Morris in there, but unfortunately he wasn't available for this game for whatever reason. I don't think the right back position is it's hard to just pinpoint one spot and say if we get a better right back we're going to be better. I don't think that's going to fix the issue. The issue is the right back is not good enough, but then the player in front of him don't help him. So right back, right wing, you have to be able to talk with your right central defender that's right beside you. You have to be able to communicate. When you go forward, the person that's playing defensive midfield should switch over to the right back position and fill into that spot. We have none of that. That's what I'm saying. This team just look like 11 players that just come from all over the world, and we just put them on the field and go play. Go play. The only way I can see us fixing this is the change of formation. When Damian Lowe come back, maybe we can go to a back three. Play with two wing backs, play with two fielders, and then put, and Antonio with either Burke or Nicholson up front because that's the way we want to play. We want to play with two big strikers. Put two big strikers up there, but put players around them. If you get two wing backs, you get two in midfield, and you put three at the back, then we can fit in our best players. We can cover for that weakness that we have at the right back position. But that's the thing. We don't have enough training sessions to kind of get this team gel together too. So it's like a win-win, a lose-lose situation at this moment. We just don't have enough training sessions.
You are absolutely spot on. You basically took the words out of my mouth. Do you think, based on what you ended on, us not having enough training session together as a collective, when you're trying to integrate new players into the team who are looking to make their debuts, do you think as a fan base we might have had too high of an expectation? Because I heard people saying, Mikel Antonio hat trick, Kimar Roof to score. But their training session was very limited as a collective. So do you think that as a fan base, as supporters, we came into this game with a little too high of a expectation?
I don't think the expectation was too high. I think it's just because of you see the performance in the Gold Cup, and let's be honest, we haven't had that bad of a run over the past couple of years. We went to a Gold Cup final, to a Gold Cup semifinal. We have seen good performance on this team, and you just feel as fans, especially you have to remember in Jamaica, there's very few people that really follow the team all year long. Like there's a very few people that really get the chance to see the players that play in the championship or Roof that play in the Scottish Premier League. People don't really follow these players. Me and you will see them on a daily basis because we see highlights on Twitter because we follow football a lot. We watch Sky Sport News a lot. We don't really get that at home. So the casual fan that watched the EPL is going to see Antonio. They're going to see him scoring goals. They're going to see that he's the leading goal scorer in the Premier League. And then they're going to expect better when they're going to expect us to be better when we get better players. That would be, that would be the what you want to happen. But it doesn't always work like that. That was a lot of players to integrate in a team within, 5 days. They just got together not too long ago. They had one training session together, by the way, which was last night because some of the players trained by themselves and then the rest of the squad met up with them. Just didn't have enough training session. I don't like the way we lost at home. And this can be, because I was saying, if we're going to make it to the World Cup, we have to win our home games. Not having the fans there didn't help also. But we're going to have to win our home games if we want to get out of this. We're already behind. We're the only team in the group without a point. Everyone have a point. And now we're 4 points behind Panama. Mexico beat us. They're already 3 points ahead. They play later on. The USA, if they win, they go 4 points. It's hard to make up that kind of ground in such short space of time. There's not much games. We don't have 38 games like the Premier League. It's kind of a short schedule. So we have to make our home game count. And that's the issue that we find ourselves into now. It's going to be tough to get there now.
I think maybe rather than saying too high of a expectations, maybe we were being unrealistic as a fan base based on given circumstances that we know of. So again, the players not having enough time to gel, the humidity as well. You saw players having water break, players like Flemings having to put water on his face just to cool himself down. And this is a player who is used to that climate. So if Junior Flemings, who comes on as a substitute, is having to cool himself off, how do you think the likes of Kimar Roof and Mikel Antonio felt, given that this is their debut and they're in a completely different climate?
Yeah, you could definitely. We knew that was going to be an issue, and we could see from the Mexico game when they played at high altitude, where you could see players were cramping up. And I said after that game, this is going to have some effect on the next game that we play at home. But it's just a quick turnaround. It's like playing the Europa League. You play Thursday and Sunday. No team survives playing the same squad Thursday and Sunday. That's why you see a manager like to be in the Europa League. Those Thursday, Sunday schedule is very rough on a small squad if you don't have it. And we pretty much did that. That's why we had to make. I understand why we made the amount of changes that were made today. You could see some of the players are just not used to it. Even the ones like you say, Fleming. He's one of the players that been there and done that, been here for a while, used to it. He still was struggling. He comes on in the second half and he was struggling, but he did make a difference when he comes on. He was trying to link up. You could see the second half we had a link up play. You could see 1-2 touches. You could see, playing the ball into Antonio and working off that. You could see players getting around the man with the ball. You could see you have options. In the second half, we could see that. That's the problem. Why couldn't we start the game like that? Because it's definitely in there. We made the changes, and I don't think, I hope it was just because players were tired or injured, because I wouldn't take off Morrison. We just need to get him on the ball more, get somebody to get it for him. He's one of the best midfielders that we have at the club. But, it's just frustrating to lose at home, but I don't want to really, blow it out of proportion because we have more games left. But how long before we say we're running out of games? Because if we lose the next game, it's getting close to grave digging time. We pretty much need to go ahead and take these shirts off the wall and just say, better luck in 2026.
Let's try to be a little bit positive and try to draw some positives from that game. What do you make of that potential pairing between Kemar Roof and Michael Antonio? You kind of saw glimpses of their potential partnership, mainly in the first half. There was a moment where you saw, I believe, Michael Antonio played a flick on to Kemar Roof, and unfortunately that went over the bar. And also from Kemar Roof as well, playing in midfield, you saw him pass the ball straight over to Corey Burke, but obviously nothing came of that. So what do you make of the both of them? Because from their introduction, from their debuts, what I get is you have players who are willing to improvise. And yes, you can say they're being forced to improvise because there isn't a clear game plan and they are new to the team. But also it tells me that they are thinkers. They are two individual thinkers. They're trying to be tacticians and they're trying to cope with being in an environment where they're clearly unsettled. So what do you make of both of their debuts?
I think they played well, and yes, I remember that chance. I think I would put money on him to score that chance that he had in the first half. If we went 1-0 up, it's a total different game, But we didn't take that chance. But yeah, that's what I was saying. I want them to play closer together, and that's why I was kind of implementing. If we could change a formation, we could definitely integrate both of them in the team together. I think at times they were too far apart. Antonio was isolated a lot. In the second half, when we were pushing more men forward, you could see he was a better player because there was players around him. He just take a bad bounce off a ball, and we could have a chance. But in the first half, we was just too spaced out. If we could somehow get him closer, up the field and get them closer together, and it doesn't have to be just Root. We have options that can play up front. It don't have to be just Antonio. It's just if you just get two players that play closer together, I think that will help us a big deal out because we're not going to be, the tick-attack of football, get it up front. It's obvious that we're not going to play like that. So we have to try and do the best that we can. We have to get a big man up front and we have to knock it down, put people around him because that's the kind of game that we're playing at the moment. I still think there's a good performance in this team. And I still think there's good results in this team. I'm not giving up yet because I can still see we still have these players, and I still want to win. But losing at home is just going to make it tougher.
Would you say that in hindsight, Tapa in some sense crumbled under pressure and the pressure that came from the fan base because people were screaming out for changes to be made, and the changes that they were looking for is to have the likes of Shimar Nicholson and Juma Fleming sit on the bench with the introduction of Kemar Roof and Michael Antonio. But would you not have started the players, in particularly Shamar Nicholson, who is banging form for club and country, and then say, second 45, let's make the debuts of Michael Antonio and Kemar Roof just to add that element of impact?
Yeah, that would have been great. I think that would have been the better decision. I see to say now because we lost, but like you said, he was in good form. He's been in good form, even in the Gold Cup. He's been in good form for us. I don't really understand the notion of people wanting him to not be in the team. I understand Antonio come in, he's going to be the main guy. But at the same time, I don't think he's been that bad. I don't think Nicholson, just to put a name of who I'm talking about, I don't think he's been that bad for us. He scored in the last game. you can see he's a player. He always gets on the end of things. Even the goal against Mexico, he was just there and finished it. It's just when you're in form and the ball is dropping for you, that's what happened. And you could say he did come under pressure because I don't think he should have been the one to come out in that team. And then, like you said, when you're trying to debut players, you try to debut too much players at once. We could have started one with someone that was already in the team and then switched it up. We started two players that had no idea. You've never played in Jamaica before, never played together before. It was just new. So maybe he could make that adjustment the next game. I hope he can do it, but we'll see. We'll see how that goes.
How do you accommodate the trio of Corey Burke, Junior Flemings? You've also got Bobby Reed as well. So that's Corey Burke, Junior Flemings, Bobby Reed, Shamar Nicholson, with the addition of Kimar Roof and Michael Antonio. How do you accommodate them? Because obviously for us, the main positive is that is some tremendous amount of squad depth.
Yeah, and the good thing about Bobby Reed is he can play different positions. You don't have to play him in midfield. You can, like I was saying about the wing backs, he could easily play on the right wing, play at the right wing back position because he's that flexible. That's what I said. If he was to go to a back three, we could easily put him in a wide wing back position. We could have Lawrence on the left. Then we could get two midfielders, whoever you want to put in that midfield. Get two midfielders, three at the back, and play with two strikers. Because that's the game that we want to play. It's just that we try to play this 4-4 or 4-3-3 game, but we just don't. The players that we started up front, you need speedy wingers and technical wingers also. You need to be able to take on a man from the wing, cross the ball for your big man. I don't think we even put one cross in the box. Like no one is getting to the byline in that team. They're just not. It's just not what they're capable of. You have to put the right players in position. So you kind of can say they were set up to fail, really, because they're not suitable to play, in that kind of system that they're playing. So, it's up to the coach. He's going to have to change it. He's on the big pressure too, because a lot of people are not happy with it. Me, I'm one of them. I said that, he shows his inexperience at times, and when you have players like this that plays, in these big leagues with coaches that they play for, and then you come play for your national team and you have someone that shows his inexperience, he can get to you, and it will cause divides in the dressing room. We're seeing it now at Arsenal, with a younger coach. You have to kind of stamp your authority, but you have to do it in the right way. You can't put too much pressure on yourself. Don't fall under pressure trying to introduce too much players at one time. I guarantee you, if you didn't start Roof tonight and start Antonio, you would have heard rumblings either way. So you just have to make the right decision for you and your players that you see every day, because you're the only one that's seeing.
You're absolutely right there with your last point. You do have to pretty much just go with what you know best, because like I said, this is the qualifiers and every game matters. Every point matters. 2 losses in 2 games, so we're in a sticky situation. There was no fans inside the stadium. Do you think that was an advantage on our behalf, or do you think that was a disadvantage? Because we know when things aren't going right, the Jamaican fans, the Jamaican supporters are very vocal.
Yeah, we do get very vocal when we're in the stadium. We've been there a couple of times, and it's been like that. But at the same time, even the new, I think fans there, the new players would have feel more at home, because now you have a fan base behind you to push you on. Just imagine the crowd there, and introducing the name, and you call Antonio, and you hear that crowd. There would have been excitement there. In that first 15 minutes, you probably wouldn't have that first slow start 15 minutes, because now the players are on that kind of adrenaline. Maybe we still wouldn't play well, but I don't think we would have started that poorly if there was fans in the stadium. And I knew it was going to be a problem, because it's hard to play your first game in a different country, away from home, and you have no fans. And I was saying that to my friends the other day, was talking on Twitter, and I'm like, I kind of feel bad about fans not being able to be in the stadium, because that's what you want. You need that 12-man, especially when you play. I hope we get fans when we play the rest of the home game, because just imagine we have Mexico at home or USA at home with no fans. I don't see I don't see the result being any different from this tonight, because those teams are just, let's be honest, those teams are better than us. Everything has to fall in place for us to really go out there and give these teams, we have to put everything in place, and that included the fans, to really get something from these teams. So we have a few home games left. This is one down. I think when you look at the overall picture, you would say, can you lose at home? You don't want to, but if you have to lose one, get it out of the way. That way you know there's no chance to slip up at home now.
How do you bridge the gap between midfield and the defense? What would be your solution? I think straight off the top of my head, my solution would be, with the reintroduction of Ethan Pinnock, is to slot Damian Lowe between the midfield and the defense, because obviously he's a player that you can utilize. Strange saying that, because I'm a massive fan of Damian Lowe's and Liam Moore's partnership. That centre-back partnership, I think, is delightful. But how do you solve that gap between the midfield position and the defence?
And that's the problem that we're having, because I don't want to bring that partnership up, but you can't leave Pinnock out of the team either, because he's one of the better defenders that we have. And that's why I'm kind of advocating for going for 3 at the back. That it sounds funny, but that's literally the strongest part of our team. I know the players that we have up front. I'm talking individual players. I'm talking about our solid foundation, our central defense, and our goalkeeper is the strongest part of our team. And it's been like that for a while. I don't think people will notice it, because everyone wants to see goals and flair players. We talk about Lee and Bailey and all that, but our center back partnership and our goalkeeper has been that best, that trio right there have been, the best that we had in a while. So you want to keep it there. And that's why I'm kind of advocating for going for 3 at the back, because I think it'll help us out defensively. But I think also they're ball playing center backs. They can play that ball into the midfield. And we have to find some way. You have to find a way to get your best players on the ball. We need to find a way to get Raven Morrison on the ball. The formation that we're playing now, I don't have an issue with it if we had the right players. If there was a Leon Bailey playing tonight with the way he plays, I think we look better as far as the right wing goes, because he's a winger. He's going to get the ball. He's going to try and take people on. He's going to try and get to the byline. He's going to try and cut in, try and take a shot with his left. That's the kind of stuff that you want from your winger. But, it's kind of trying to fit players in. It can backfire on you. We have to just take it game by game. But this was a big setback, and hopefully we have a couple of days, so Wednesday. So 3 days to get over this loss and see what we can do after that.
And for you, who would be that one player, or who do you expect to be that one player in the team, particularly in the center of the park, that can grab the game by the scruff of the neck? Because I think that's been one of our main concern, or major concern, I would say, is that we don't have that clear player that can grab the game by the scruff of the neck and just get us over that line. Who would be that one player for you?
I still think Morrison is that player that can do it for us. I have a lot of faith in him, because we have seen him done it before, and I do have a lot of faith in him. He just need a partner beside him. It's hard to just throw players in there. I don't want to go back to the Hector in midfield, because I just don't think that's his best position. And he gets behind the plays a lot. When we play with him in midfield, it's easy. It's hard to say, but it's easy for players to get past him and have him chase him. The midfield is always chasing when he's playing, and that's what you don't want. You want someone to sit in front, especially when we are defended. So I still have faith in Morrison trying to get in there, and I don't know, man. This 3 at the back is something that's I'm really pushing for. I hope that we could even try it, even for half the game. If we were playing it today and we went 2 behind, and we could take off one of the defenders, bring on another attacker. But also, I think we do need to get Liam Bailey fit, because we don't really have the kind of winger that we need to play the formation that we're playing now. But you don't want to pin all your hopes on one player. We have plenty of players. We shouldn't be playing the way we're playing now. And this brand of football that we're playing, I don't even know what brand it is, but it's just not working at the minute.
I agree with you with the three at the back, but my big worry when you look back at the Gold Cup is that the defense, for me, it was near perfect. So I'm a huge fan of if something isn't broken, don't try to fix it. But like you said, being that Brentford were promoted to the Premier League, looking at what Ethan Pinnock did against Arsenal, he's banging form with Brentford. He pretty much has to play. So we have to find a way to accommodate Liam Moore, Damian Lowe, and Ethan Pinnock. I'm glad that that issue or that job doesn't rest on my shoulders because it is a big, big decision to make to try and get the best out of those players. But looking ahead to our final game for the month, I can't ask you how you're feeling, but what needs changing?
Did Grant have to go back to the U.S.? Is that why he's not in the squad?
Well, when we did the press conference with Tapper did say that he admitted that yes, Grant did have an excellent game against Mexico, but he didn't feel that he had the legs to see out the full 90. So I'm assuming, similar to Damian Lowe, you might see Anthony Grant brought back into the final game of the September window.
Yeah. So when you asked me earlier about one player that I think will change it, he definitely would change a midfield. I think if you was to take a Johnson out of the midfield today, and because he had a wonderful game against Mexico, he was literally playing midfield on his own, putting in tackles, he was getting back, he was playing well, and we took him off. We pretty much surrendered the lead right after he came off the field. Because see, they went right through the midfield. So if we had to pick one player, I think you pair him in there with another two, maybe it could work because he brings experience. He brings experience. Yes, he hasn't played first before, but he's a player that plays so much game over his career. You can see that he just fits in seamlessly. And the players that he was playing with, he never played with them before. It looked like he's been here before. So let's hope he can be back for the game coming up. But let's hope Lowe can be back for that game too, because I think you have to put that partnership back. If he's back fit, and we're going to keep this formation. Yes, Pinnock is in decent form, but if you're going to play four at the back, he's the one to miss out for me out of those three. And bring Grant in. Morrison only played half the game today. Let's hope it wasn't injury why he came off, but let's hope we can get those two in there together and see how we go from there.
I'd like to second your praise for Anthony Grant. His debut reminds me of Liam Moore and how Liam Moore has come into that back line and he's just fitted in so perfectly, almost as if he's been playing for Jamaica for the last decade. So credits to players like Liam Moore and Anthony Grant for how well they have integrated into our team. Guys, you have been listening to myself and Mobay Gooner. This guy's pretty much like my big bro. He has been supporting my channel from the very jump, from the very start, since the birth of my channel. So I'm really happy that I've finally had him come onto my channel and share his football knowledge with you. And I hope you've enjoyed listening to him. And before you go, Mobay, thank you so much for blessing me with a moment of your time. It's always a pleasure speaking to you. And I hope...
as always.
I hope that we can find some time to do this again in the near future.
Yeah, for sure. We definitely do it again. It's a long way to go, like you said, it's work of qualifying. So we'll definitely get back up and hope it's on the better circumstances. But as always, you keep up the good work. You keep doing what you're doing. We'll see you all over. I'm always seeing you on Twitter. We make sure we always show you support. And you're big in the Jamaica community. So keep doing what you're doing from over there. We appreciate all your hard work, for sure.
Thank you. I greatly appreciate your kind comments and your continuous support.